was right at the moment we went live.
So this stuff is my like secret weapon when it comes to watercolor paintings. And it is always getting crusties in the lid, just all the fucking time. I don't know how much paint I've wasted from crusties in the lid. You want to see how the Argonath turned out?
Yeah.
At least in person? All right. It's a lot cleaner in its final form as a postcard, but so I did the whole the gateway to Gondor. I had to shrink them down and to put them on one line, but I did. It looks very nice and seamless.
I like it.
Me too. There we go. And then I did Emmanuel.
Probably the wrong way.
Yeah. And look, there's a little tiny Frodo and Sam. And this I also fixed up in post. I do about half my work in post. And then there's the dead versions.
Nice.
There we go. So
That's
I have put on my list of things to do, learn how to record me working in Photoshop so that I can add that to videos of art in progress, because otherwise it's a mystery to people, and that is sad.
Indeed. I think I sent you a picture of the finished box from last week.
Yes, it's so beautiful. Have you got stuff
turned
in
out
it now?
really good.
Do you keep stuff in it?
Yes.
Do you have it handy for audience members?
I mean, I'd have to go get it. I mean, I can go get it.
Go get
it. I'll be right back.
Yeah. And I'll get my tablet stand out. Oh, hello, tablet stand. It's the most beautiful thing you guys never see, because this is the piece of furniture that makes... Ugh. It is your turn to read, right?
It is. Because last week, I did this.
That's right, and it's gorgeous. Oh, look at the clouds and the stars. I love it.
It looked like thank you. I'm really happy with how the stars came out. I did them with the end of a knitting needle, mostly.
Nice. It's like you have your own dotting tool.
Exactly. Then I remembered I had actual dotting tools, and I was like, well, the knitting needle's already here.
Because you've got a nerdy crafter thing.
I tried like splashing it kind of, but my brush wasn't really stiff enough to make that work well, and so I just went back to I don't have any old toothbrushes.
I'll give you some. We just did a massive overhaul of the main bathroom and got rid of the toys that Abby hasn't played with in 5 years, stuff like that. Actually, I put them outside in case he wants to play with them in a wading pond. But I discovered, you know how you get blind to things that are just kind of there? We've got 2 kids in college, 3 at home, and there was a cup on the counter with 15 toothbrushes in it. Jason uses an electric one. Mine and Abby's are in a drawer, and then there's this cup with 15 toothbrushes.
My favorite thing about that is everything. But my second favorite thing about that is that I have been to your house and I never noticed either.
And Jason had just been saying a little while ago that he doesn't like bathroom counters to be cluttered. And I was like, you know, I've gotten clutter blind to it, but I'm going to make some effort to clear this off. We'll just have a tissue box and then the thing that's plugged in, and that's it. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So Jason made a little separator so that in the drawer for the toothbrushes, because Emily's a germaphobe, and that's the reason she wasn't using it. And we also have a drawer in which go all of the... Every so often, we just buy toothbrushes off of Amazon, or a dentist gives us one, and those have a drawer. So we have another 15 unused spare, completely. Yeah, it's just
Well, yes. When I need to do more scattering, I will ask you for a toothbrush.
You shall have it. You shall have your pick. We have many, many.
This was fun enough and like fast enough because I got it all done that night that I
Brilliant.
was like, I should just paint a bunch of these. And then I was like, okay, how many boxes do I need in my house?
My next, like the last thing I have to do after I send out all of the decks is make deck boxes for the people that ordered them, and I think there's about half a dozen I need to make. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Yeah.
We can get together and do a box decorating day or something.
We shall indeed. And what I need to do is head over to Who Gives a Scrap and see if they've got, what are those cigar boxes? Those are the best. They're really well built if you get the wooden ones, and I want that. They're a lot better built than the balsa ones you find at craft shops.
Yeah. Excuse me, cat. I don't know if you can hear her.
Yes, we can hear her.
Hey, you're being too loud.
She's
Cease
like,
and
but
desist.
I wanna.
She's just scratching at a box of crackers. You don't even eat crackers.
It sounded like she was cleaning up her litter.
Yeah, no, she was on the table.
This is where I've been keeping the paintings, and there's an awful lot of them.
An awful lot of paintings in your house?
Yeah. There. It's just art kind of shoved in any old place.
Why are you such a problem?
Our not our wedding anniversary, but our getting together anniversary is rapidly approaching, and I told Jason I would buy him tools as an anniversary present if he would use those tools to build me a bookshelf as an anniversary present. So this is going really well.
Very symbiotic.
Oh, very symbiotic. And there's a shelf that I've had in the living room with all my Tolkien stuff on it, but I've always had a few little problems with it. And he's going to rebuild it only better.
Excellent.
And then I get to do a wood burning because there's going to be an archway over the top shelf, and I'm going to do the speak, friend, and enter in Tangwar over that, and it's going to be so beautiful. Yes. Today's art project is I'm going to start the Black Gate, and that's the font that I designed.
I like it. Very, very pointy.
Very pointy. I wanted to do a pointy font.
All right. Well, let's see where we are. I have titled this episode Captain Perfect in the Friend Zone because I believe that's still where we are.
Yeah. I mean, he is. And he is. Even though it's a myth.
Yes. Yes. It is not a real thing. No. But if it was a real thing, he would be in it.
He would totally be there. And he'd be okay with it, guys.
Well, because he's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect people aren't incels.
I'm so sorry about the cat in the background.
It's okay.
She continues to be causing havoc.
I understand. They be cats.
They do be cats.
They do be cats.
Okay.
I've got this thing now to whoa, where is it? That to film painting processes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I think I have one of those too.
Yeah. But it's not what I need for today.
Nay.
Nay.
Okay.
Have you seen the joke that's like, I used to throttle orcs. Do they call me Smeagol Orc Throttler?
Yes, I think I showed you that. You makes one noise.
Throat. All right.
I still also think about that joke that's like, hey, who's that really, really ostentatiously sexy man in the corner?
Okay. This is honestly the hardest part.
All right.
I'm going to change up the color a bit.
So I'm at the part where she says her window does not look eastward. Oh, and then Faramir walked alone in the garden, but his glance now strayed rather to the house.
Yeah. I feel like... Yeah, that feels familiar.
I think that's where we ended because next is
he called
him
Mary
talking to Mary.
Yeah. And from him, he realized all of the things. Yeah, I don't think we'd read that far, although I wouldn't swear to it.
I remember him looking more often towards the house, but I don't remember anything after that. So unless
you totally zoned out.
Unless I totally zoned out, this is where we are. I wouldn't swear that that's not what happened, but I don't think that's what happened.
I also wouldn't swear that we haven't done some overlap in the past.
I would swear that we almost certainly have.
I mean, we've been doing this for like 3 fucking years, so...
Actually, exactly 3 years.
Oh my god.
So happy 3-year anniversary.
Happy 3-year anniversary.
I didn't actually realize that until I said it out loud. Oh my god.
Oh wow, it's already peeling off the paper. Bullshit. This is bullshit. I don't like the wrinkles, but what are we going to do?
Bullshit. Oh, I remember the other thing I was going to tell you before we get started. Seriously, why are you obsessed with the crackers? Stop. Don't get why she wants to scratch the cracker box. Anyway, the other thing I was going to tell you before we get started is that yesterday, the reason why I was like, can we podcast tomorrow, was not because I remembered that this was the 3-year anniversary, because I did not. Also, good lord, I never thought this was gonna last for 3 years.
I was beginning to feel sad. I was like, we've almost made it to Mordor, and then I'm like, and then we have the wedding, and then we have the scouring. We've got plenty of time left.
We're probably gonna make it to 4.
Yeah.
But actually, the reason why I was not wanting to podcast last night is because I went to see a Bollywood movie at the movie theater, and it was delightful.
Awesome.
Excuse me. I'm gonna put this cracker box in the cupboard before I start reading because she is driving me absolutely bananas. Or absolutely crackers, you might say.
She's driving her crackers.
Oh, honey. I'm so sorry. Are you okay?
They damaged the kitty. I think the kitty was angling for some kind of accident to happen so they could be like, ouch.
And now I'm a terrible person because I accidentally closed her little paw in the cupboard door for a second.
I'd be willing to bet that she did that on purpose to get your sympathy.
That's probably true. All right. Let's see. When he returned to his chamber, he called for the warden, and heard all that he could tell of the Lady of Rohan. But I doubt not, lord, said the warden, that you would learn more from the halfling that is with us. He was in the riding of the king, and with the lady at the end, they say.
Oh, so, yeah, and I'm remembering that I felt like he probably talked for an hour and a half before saying that. I don't know much, but here's all my harumping.
Here's all my thoughts, and she's probably hysterical. I think her uterus is wandering, and oh yeah, anyway, this guy actually knows her.
Yep.
Seriously, what is your little kitty problem? She is never this annoying while we're podcasting. Usually she sleeps.
It is, maybe it's her wandering uterus. I don't know.
Well, her uterus wandered right out of her body about 2 years ago, so I don't think so.
Phantom uterus pains.
But I hope that's not a thing.
Oh, God.
If that's a thing, please nobody tell us.
Okay, yeah, I want to live in cheerful ignorance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is going to be a chaotic episode. My apologies to anyone who ever watches it, as unlikely as that may be. Oh, really? Now you're playing with the book? Do you want to read? Because I don't know if you've noticed, but you don't speak English.
She's like, so you say.
Well, if she does, this is the first I've heard about it. What's the... Sandy has a magnet on the fridge that says, get out of here! That says, if cats could talk, they probably wouldn't, but if they did, they'd lie.
Yep. Yep, that
Okay,
sounds...
you...
I see no lie.
You need to get off the table. You're done. Denied.
It starts up here.
I have fetched a toy. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, so he was talking to the warden, probably about Eowyn's hysteria.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And then he was like, but actually this other dude's met her.
Yeah.
And so Mary was sent to Faramir, and while that day lasted, they talked long together, and Faramir learned much, more even than Mary put into words. And he thought that he understood now something of the grief and unrest of Eowyn of Rohan. And in the fair evening,
to write a song about it, play it on a guitar.
I'm just picturing Faramir as the like acoustic guitar dude that's on every college campus.
Oh yes, he would totally.
Oversized beanie, hacky sack sitting next to him.
I get you, girl. I get you.
Aragorn would definitely be like the jock lacrosse captain or whatever.
Yep.
And in the fair evening, Faramir and Mary walked in the garden, but she did not come.
Aww.
But in the morning, as Faramir came from the houses, he saw her as she stood upon the walls, and she was clad all in white and gleamed in the sun. And he called to her, and she came down, and they walked on the grass or sat under a green tree together, now in silence, now in speech. And each day afterward they did likewise. And the warden, looking from his window, was glad in heart, for he was a healer, and his care was lightened. And certain it was that, heavy as was the dread and foreboding in those days upon the hearts of men, still these two of his charges prospered and grew daily in strength. We did read this because we were talking about the fact that they had actual conversations of substance.
Yeah.
That just are not written down.
Yeah. And how interesting those conversations must have been. Maybe they were telling war stories, man. Like, I could totally see them bonding over movement of troops and battles that they had been involved in.
Yeah. And so the 5th day came, since the Lady Eowyn went first to Faramir. I still don't know where we left off, so I'm just going with it.
That's fine. We're cool. We love these two. I'm happy to spend extra time with them.
Yeah, this is like one of the nicest parts of this volume.
It's true.
And they stood now together once more upon the walls of the city and looked out. No tidings had yet come, and all hearts were darkened. The weather, too, was bright no longer. It was cold. A wind that had sprung up in the night was blowing now keenly from the north, and it was rising. But the lands about looked grey and clear. They were clad in warm raiment and heavy cloaks, and over all the Lady Eowyn wore a great blue mantle of the colour of deep summer night, and it was set with silver stars about hem and throat. Faramir had sent for this robe, and had wrapped it about her, and he thought that she looked fair and queenly indeed as she stood there at his side. The mantle was wrought for his mother, Finduilas of Amroth, who died untimely, and was to him but a memory of loveliness in far days and of his first grief, and her robe seemed to him raiment fitting for the beauty and sadness of Éowyn. But she now shivered beneath the starry mantle. She looked northward above the grey hitherlands, into the eye of the cold wind, where far away the sky was hard and clear. "What do you look for, Éowyn?" said Faramir.
"I'm over here."
"Does not the black gate lie yonder?" said she. "And must he not now be come thither? It is 7 days since he rode away." "Wah, wah." 7 days, said Faramir. "But think not ill of me if I say to you, they have brought me both a joy and a pain that I never thought to know. Joy to see you, but pain, because now the fear and doubt of this evil time are grown dark indeed. Éowyn, I would not have this world end now, nor lose so soon what I have found."
That's right, we've been here before.
We have, because she's about to shut him down. So cold.
But so gentle.
"Lose what you have found, Lord," she answered, but she looked at him gravely, and her eyes were kind. "I know not what in these days you have found that you could lose. But come, my friend, let us not speak of it. Let us not speak at all. I stand upon some dreadful brink, and it is utterly dark in the abyss before my feet. Whether there is any light behind me I cannot tell, for I cannot turn yet. I wait for some stroke of doom."
Yes.
Doom, doom, doom.
Doom!
"Yes, we wait for the stroke of doom," said Faramir. And they said no more, and it seemed to them as they stood upon the wall that the wind died, and the light failed, and the sun was bleared, and all sounds in the city or in the lands about were hushed. Neither wind nor voice, nor bird call, nor rustle of leaf, nor their own breath could be heard. The very beating of their hearts was stilled. Time halted. And as they stood so, their hands met and clasped, though they did not know it. And still they waited, for they knew not what. Then presently it seemed to them that above the ridges of the distant mountains another vast mountain of darkness rose, towering up like a wave that should engulf the world. And about it lightnings flickered, and then a tremor ran through the earth, and they felt the walls of the city quiver. A sound like a sigh went up from all the lands about them, and their hearts beat suddenly again. "It reminds me of Numenor," said Faramir, and wondered to hear himself speak. "Of Numenor?" said Éowyn. "Yes," said Faramir, "of the land of Westerness that foundered, and of the great wave climbing over the green lands and above the hills and coming on. Darkness unescapable. I often dream of it." "Then you think that darkness is coming?" said Éowyn. "Darkness unescapable?" And suddenly she drew close to him. "No," said Faramir, looking into her face. "It was but a picture in the mind. I do not know what is happening. The reason of my waking mind tells me that great evil has befallen, and we stand at the end of days. But my heart says nay, and all my limbs are light, and a hope and joy are come to me that no reason can deny. Éowyn, Éowyn, White Lady of Rohan, in this hour I do not believe that any darkness will endure." And he stooped and kissed her brow.
See? See? That's how you behave.
Yeah.
Right back at her.
And so they stood on the walls of the city of Gondor, and a great wind rose and blew, and their hair, raven and golden, streamed out, mingling in the air. And the shadow departed, and the sun was unveiled, and light leaped forth. And the waters of Anduin shone like silver, and in all the houses of the city men sang for the joy that welled up in their hearts, from what source they could not tell. Did we talk about what song they're singing here?
No, we did not, and I want to.
The first thing that comes to my head is oh, I'm so excited.
How's about send me on my way. Send me on my way. On my way.
I have never like known the actual words to that song.
You know
I
they
just
would
sing
in
nonsense
Gondor.
syllables. What?
They would know it in Gondor.
Fine. I guess they would, but I'm not from Gondor, so
This is true.
I'll just keep
It
singing the
always
nonsense syllables that I've been singing since I was 6 years old.
It at this point in the story, at this like very epic saga like turn of the story, there are so many freaking ands. Have you noticed? The word and is used a lot. Yeah.
Oh, and I couldn't tell if you had said and or ant. There's so many.
And the word and is used enormous quantities, and I tend to skip it about half the time because it works when you're reading it in your head. It gives it a sort of mythic quality, a rhythm. But reading it aloud, I feel like nan dan dan dan. Oh man, oof. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Now you're going to hear it. Sorry.
Yeah, now I'm not going to be able to unhear it. And guess what the next word is?
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
before the sun had fallen far from the noon, out of the east there came a great eagle flying, and he bore tidings beyond hope from the lords of the west, crying. This is a song.
Yeah.
Blah blah, we won. Sing all ye people. And the people sang in all the ways of the city.
Yay! And your king shall live among you, and the streets are paved with cheese.
Oh, I haven't thought about that song in a while.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be so greasy. Like, you know how cheese sweats if you leave it outside too long?
Yeah, it would be terrible.
It'd be worse than an ice storm. The days that followed were golden, and spring and summer joined and made revel together in the fields of Gondor. And tidings now came by swift riders from Carandros of all that was done, and the city made ready for the coming of the king. Merry was summoned, and rode away with the wains that took store of goods to Osgiliath, and thence by ship to Carandros. But Faramir did not go, for now being healed, he took upon him his authority in the stewardship, although it was only for a little while, and his duty was to prepare for one who should replace him. And dang it.
Don't read it like that. Don't read it like that. Either skip them or let it be the rhythm that he wanted.
I can't help it.
It's really hard. I know. Sorry.
Éowyn did not go, though her brother sent word begging her to come to the field of Cormallen. Faramir wondered at this, but he saw her seldom, being busy with many matters, and she dwelt still in the houses of healing, and walked alone in the garden. And her face grew pale again, and it seemed that in all the city she only was ailing and sorrowful. The warden of the houses was troubled, and he spoke to Faramir. Then Faramir came and sought her, and once more they stood on the walls together. He said to her, Éowyn, why do you tarry here, and do not go to the rejoicing in Cormallen beyond Carandros, where your brother awaits you? And she said, Do you not know? But he answered, 2 reasons there may be, but which is true I do not know. And she said, I do not wish to play riddles. Speak plainer. You first,
You
Eowyn, God.
started it.
Then, if you will have it so, lady, he said, you do not go because only your brother called for you, and to look on the Lord Aragorn, Elendil's heir, in his triumph would now bring you no joy. Or because I do not go, you desire still to be near me. And maybe for both these reasons, and you yourself cannot choose between them. Eowyn, do you not love me, or will you not? I wish to be loved by another, she answered, and I desire no man's pity. That I know, he said. You desired to have the love of the Lord Aragorn, because he was high and okay,
Puissant.
how do you pronounce what?
Puissant.
Puissant.
I don't know. That's how I've always said it.
It doesn't sound complimentary. Like, no. I've never liked that word. All right, we're Googling if that's how you actually pronounce it.
Okay, do. It sounds a little too much like pissant, doesn't it?
Yes. Like, isn't there a whole joke in the Tiffany Aching books about that? Because she's only, or one of the Terry Pratchett books, because she's only seen it. Okay,
she's only read it. She hasn't heard it. It was psychology, I think. Are you trying psychology on me?
But specifically in one of the other books, someone keeps saying the word, but they keep pronouncing it pissant.
Actually, okay, one second. I don't know. Sounds like a Pratchett joke.
It's pronounced puissant.
Puissant. Because he is high and puissant.
I hate it. It sounds like the correct pronunciation is worse.
Yeah, you know, he just francophile it up and be like, because he is high and puissant.
See, like, you can say pissant, which obviously is not complimentary, or you can say puissant, which sounds like some sort of food, or you can say puissant, which sounds dirty.
Or medical.
Or medical. I'm sorry, sir. The wound is puissant.
You know, maybe Faramir knew how it would sound, and he has kind of a like love-hate. Like, I love my king, but I hate that my girl's into him. So he's using words that have that kind of double meaning or sound to them. Like, no, I didn't say anything uncomplimentary about His Highness.
I just said he was high and puissant. How could that be wrong? Tone is also very key.
You were into him because, you know, he walks funny and he smells strange. Do you know he snores? He totally snores. Anyway.
Anyway, so she was into him. And he wished to have renown and glory and to be lifted far above the mean things that crawl on the earth. And as a great captain may to a young soldier, he seemed to you admirable. For so he is, a lord among men, the greatest that now is. But when he gave you only understanding and pity, then you desired to have nothing, unless a brave death in battle. Look at me, Eowyn. And Eowyn looked at Faramir long and steadily, and Faramir said, Do not scorn pity that is the gift of a gentle heart, Eowyn. But I do not offer you my pity. For you are a lady high and valiant, and have yourself won renown that shall not be forgotten. And you are a lady beautiful, I deem, beyond even the words of the elven tongue to tell. And I love you. Once I pitied your sorrow. But now were you sorrowless, without fear or any lack, were you the blissful queen of Gondor, still I would love you. Eowyn, do you not love me?
Aww.
Aww.
I love you, Faramir.
Then the heart of Eowyn changed, or else at last she understood it. And suddenly her winter passed, and the sun shone on her. I stand in Minas Anor, the tower of the sun, she said, and behold, the shadow has departed. I will be a shield maiden no longer, nor vie with the great riders, nor take only joy in songs of slaying. I will be a healer, and love all things that grow and are not barren. And again she looked at Faramir. No longer do I desire to be a queen, she said. Then Faramir laughed merrily. That was a really roundabout answer, but I'm pretty sure it was a yes.
Right? Like we talked about, these two will never run out of shit to say to each other because they could give a speech on a freaking drop of a handkerchief.
Right? Imagine being their teenage kid and you're sitting there for like 10 minutes and then you're like, can you please just ground me? Then Faramir laughed merrily. That is well, he said, for I am not a king. Yet I will wed with the White Lady of Rohan if it be her will. And if she will, then let us cross the river, and in happier days let us dwell in fair Ithilien and there make a garden. All things will grow with joy there if the White Lady comes. Then must I leave my own people, man of Gondor, she said. And would you have your proud folk say to you, there goes the lord who tamed a wild shield maiden of the north. Was there no woman of the race of Numenor to choose? I would.
Yes!
Said Faramir. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For once, he's succinct.
Let them talk shit. This is one of my favorite bits. Like, yes.
Yep.
Yep.
And he took her in his arms and kissed her under the sunlit sky, and he cared not that they stood high upon the walls in the sight of many. And many indeed saw them. Awkward!
Woo!
And the light that shone about them as they came down from the walls and went hand in hand to the houses of healing.
Love makes you glow, people. Remember this.
I'm just like, hey, could you turn that light off? No, sorry.
I'm in love.
And to the warden of the houses, Faramir said, here is the Lady Eowyn of Rohan, and now she is healed. Healed by my love.
Healed by love.
And the warden said, then I release her from my charge and bid her farewell, and may she suffer never hurt nor sickness again. Congratulations on finding her uterus. I commend her to the care of the steward of the city until her brother returns.
Yeah, because she still needs a man to look after her.
To be fair, yes, it is sexist, but also she has no money, and she's not from the city, so, like, she might actually have a hard time if they were like, great, get out.
Here's your bill.
Exactly. Even if they didn't charge her, like, how's she going to get food? Where's she going to stay?
Right.
But Eowyn said, now that I have leave to depart, I would remain, for this house has become to me of all dwellings the most blessed. And she remained there until King Eomer came. I don't know if we're going to get through the whole next section, but
we can
see
try.
what we can do. All things were now made ready in the city, and there was great concourse of people, for the tidings had gone out into all parts of Gondor, from Min Rimon even to Pinath Gelin, and the far coasts of the sea. I don't know where those places are, but they sound far away.
They're so far away.
And all that could come to the city made haste to come, and the city was filled again with women and fair children that returned to their homes laden with flowers. Not very useful, but sure.
Yay!
And from Dol Amroth came the harpers that harped most skillfully in all the land, and there were players upon viols and upon lutes and upon horns of silver, and clear-voiced singers from the vales of Lebanon. What?
You said vials rather than viols.
Oh, is that how you pronounce that? Sorry, I'm not very puissant about that word.
know what? I don't know either. Leave a comment if you know.
All right, I'll Google that too. I think you're actually right, but let's see. Ha! Nope, I was right. It's either viol or viol.
Ah. Well, then I
Because
take
I've been
back
pronouncing
my
it like
complaint.
violin with no in, and that is in fact correct.
Sure, but it sounded like a vial of acid, you know?
Yes, it did. I cannot help that. I have a Rocky Mountain mumble accent, and that's what you get.
All right, I'll take it. Keep going.
Where was I? Ah, yes. At last an evening came when from the walls the pavilions could be seen upon the field, and all night lights were burning as men watched for the dawn. And when the sun rose in the clear morning above the mountains in the east, upon which shadows lay no more, then all the bells rang, and all the banners broke and flowed in the wind. And upon the white tower of the citadel the standard of the Stuarts, bright argent like snow in the sun, bearing no charge nor device, was raised over Gondor for the last time. Argent is silver, so it's just a big blank silver banner.
And it would look like a flag of truce or surrender if they had done that in the movie, so I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like nothing?
But it's a really interesting, like, heraldically speaking, that's a really interesting message.
Oh, yeah. Like, no, we're a placeholder.
Right? Like, we're not keeping any of our family history. We're just standing in for the king.
Yeah.
Like, what a weird. Yeah.
Very complicated psychologically.
Mm-hmm. Now the captains of the West led their host towards the city, and folk saw them advance in line upon line, flashing and glinting in the sunrise, and rippling like silver. And so they came before the gateway and halted a furlong from the wall. As yet no gates had been set up again, but a barrier was laid across the entrance to the city, and there stood men at arms in silver and black, with long swords drawn. Before the barrier stood Faramir the steward, and Hurin, warden of the keys, and other captains of Gondor, and the Lady Eowyn of Rohan, with Elfhelm the marshal, and many knights of the Mark. Oh yay, Elfhelm! I forgot about him.
Elfhelm, we love Elfhelm!
Yay, he survived!
Woo!
And upon either side of the gate was a great press of fair people in raiment of many colors and garlands of flowers. So now there was a wide space before the walls of Minas Tirith, and it was hemmed in upon all sides by the knights and the soldiers of Gondor and of Rohan, and by the people of the city and of all parts of the land. A hush fell upon all, as out from the host stepped the Dunedain in silver and grey, and before them came walking slow the Lord Aragorn. He was clad in black mail girt with silver, and he wore a long mantle of pure white, clasped at the throat with a great jewel of green that shone from afar. But his head was bare, save for a star upon his forehead bound by a slender fillet of silver. With him were Eomer of Rohan and the Prince Imrahil, and Gandalf, robed all in white, and 4 small figures that many men marveled to see. Nay, cousin, they are not boys, said Ioreth to her kinswoman from Imloth Melui, who stood beside her. Those are Perian out of the far country of the halflings, where they are princes of great fame, it is said. I should know, for I had one to tend in the houses. They are small, but they are valiant. Why, cousin, one of them went with only his esquire into the Black Country and fought with the Dark Lord all by himself, and set fire to his tower, if you can believe it. At least that is the tale in the city. That will be the one that walks with our Elfstone. They are dear friends, I hear. Now, he is a marvel, the Lord Elfstone. Not too soft in his speech, mind you, but he has a golden heart, as the saying is, and he has the healing hands. And the hands of the king are the hands of a healer, I said, and that was how it was all discovered. And Mithrandir, he said to me, Eorith, men will long remember your words, and I love that Eorth has decided that no one knew he was the king.
Right?
Like, I was the one who told them that he was the king.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Until then, he had just been here for, like, no reason.
But you know what? She's not as problematic about insisting on her importance in the story as some people. Emerald.
Yeah, that is true.
Anyway,
but Eorth was not permitted to continue the instruction of her kinswoman from the country. For a single trumpet rang and a dead silence followed. It would be so much funnier if she did keep talking.
She just kept talking.
She was the only one, and everyone else was like, shh. Then forth from the gate went Faramir with Hurin of the Keys, and no others, save that behind them walked 4 men in the high helms and armor of the citadel, and they bore a great casket of black lebethron bound with silver. No others, except for those other 4.
Yeah, it's a very amusing Donald Ronaldism when he says, not this, except for this. And that's happened twice in this paragraph, because his head was bare, save for the thing on his head. And there was no other people except for these other people.
It's very true. And also, I can't help, like, when they say, like, he had a star on his brow, like, all I can think is that fashion in the early 2000s where everybody put necklaces on their head and the pendant was right in the middle of your forehead.
My God, like, yes. Yes. And I think that was because of this damn movie.
Very possibly. Because Éowyn had that a bunch. So, like, yeah.
Yep.
Not Éowyn.
Arwen.
Arwen, thank you.
Was a thing.
Faramir met Aragorn in the midst of those there assembled, and he knelt and said, "The last steward of Gondor begs leave to surrender his office." And he held out a white rod. But Aragorn took the rod and gave it back, saying,
Good thing they had a spare.
Oh, shit! he handed him a stick of charcoal and was like, this used to be white, but what happened was...
A broken stick of charcoal. Denethor took the staff of his office and broke it over his knee before throwing it in the pyre.
So he handed him 2 halves of his stick. So look, my dad kind of had a thing, and these used to be white.
You know, the old men, they're fragile.
It turned out he did have a Palantir
and some daddy issues, and we don't blame you, but you were Ecthelion's favorite.
Anyway, that's why this stick isn't white anymore. Welcome back!
Or one stick.
Or one stick.
Anyway, go ahead.
But Aragorn took the rod and gave it back, saying, "That office is not ended, and it shall be thine and thy heirs as long as my line shall last. Do now thy office." Then Faramir stood up and spoke in a clear voice. "Men of Gondor, hear now the steward of this realm. Behold, one has come to claim the kingship again at last. Here is Aragorn, son of Arathorn, chieftain of the Dunedain of Arnor, captain of the host of the West, bearer of the Star of the North, wielder of the sword reforged,
slayer of Gowron,
wearer of very tight pants, victorious in battle, whose hands bring healing, the Elfstone, Elisar of the line of Valandil, Isildur's son, Elendil's son of Numenor.
Woo!
Shall he be king and enter into the city and dwell there?" And all the hosts and all the people cried yea with one voice. Yea, verily, yea.
There was much rejoicing.
Yay. It's 8:02, so we should probably pause there.
Okay. Oh, come on. I guess they did all just cry yay with one voice.
They did all cry yay with one voice, and it's like 2 pages until the end of the
Yeah, because
section.
Eorith
So
needs to keep talking. I remember.
yes, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, I have been looking forward to bringing up the whole why is there still a staff of office thing?
Look, I do think that it makes sense if you have a very important relic, you should have a spare.
Yes.
Like, what if somebody lost it?
Or set
Nice.
fire to it.
Or set fire, or broke it and then set fire to it.
You know what? I could see that very conversation happening with the ancient what do you got, artisans of Minas Tirith, or even
Right?
it could be Osgiliath, because it was
You
for
know what?
26 generations.
I bet they like didn't know that there was a spare and and Faramir was going like, "Oh, damn, I'm not going to have anything to give him as a sign of office." And one of the artisans was like, "Well, sire, my grandfather told me of a spare in the broom closet. Been keeping it since ages past, just in case, don't you know?"
Right? Or someone called an artisan and said, "Do you remember what the scepter looked like? How
And the
soon
guy
can you
was like,
turn
"Sort
another?"
of, and they were like, "Good enough."
Good enough. Have you got a lathe? You got a job for you.
That's actually probably more likely.
And Aragorn handed back the suspiciously shiny and new-looking scepter of office and said, "Yeah."
All right. Well, I will see you next week.
I will see you next week. I love you so much. Cuidado.
I love you too. Liamas.
Bye.